Hello, world. Oh, man, what's up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build studio in New York City. Oh, man, one of the longest-running musicals in London's West End history, with nearly 30 separate individual productions mounted all over the globe. We Will Rock You is a quirky, eccentric, and heartfelt story of outsiders, as well as a creative cautionary tale for the cyberage, told through the music of one of the most iconic rock bands of all time, Queen. For the first time since its 2002 launch, it has come to New York City, currently running at the Hulu Theater through Sunday. Joining me in just a moment, stars of the show, Trevor Coll and Keri Kelly are here. How about that? You guys excited? I'm excited. Are they? They are. They're excited too. All excited. We're going to bring them out in a second, but first, I believe we have a peek at the show, so let's go ahead and run that clip. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Keri Kelly and Trevor Coll right here. Do it up. Come on. Welcome to New York. Congratulations. Oh, my gosh. We were just saying backstage last night, first of 6 shows in the city. And somehow here you are this morning, ready to go, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, amazing. Endless supply of energy, you two. It's unbelievable. Very inspiring. How are you guys doing? How's life right now? How's the tour going? How's everybody?
Good, good. Yeah, we're enjoying it. We're really happy to be in New York. It's nice. We had a great opening night and ready to rock a few more shows.
How are you doing, Trevor?
Well, this leg has kind of led up to this part. This is we've been working for 2.5 months around the country, and now that we're in Manhattan, in New York City, I think everyone's having a good time.
Yeah. It's very cool. Well, and that was the thing, too, I was reading. I couldn't believe that this is the first time that this show has come to New York City. You get to bring this show and bring this experience to the city. It's a huge responsibility. I got to imagine it's an honor. It's a pleasure. What does that feel like coming into bringing it here to the Big Apple?
I mean, we're definitely under pressure, if you will. Yeah.
Oh, look what you've done there.
That will be the first of many. I love this show. I saw it when I was in high school in Toronto. I saw the cast there, and I fell in love with it at that time. I bought the soundtrack. I memorized every lyric, and it's kind of what taught me how to sing. This and Rent and some other rock musicals literally taught me how to sing. I sing Somebody to Love for all of my auditions, for everything.
Better than me, yeah.
Not true. She gets to sing it in the show.
We'll get to the auditions in a second, but so for all of your auditions, that's your go-to song.
It is my go-to song, and so doing it here for the first time, I've said when I was younger, I was like, when We Will Rock You goes to Broadway, I will be the first person to see it. It never has been on Broadway, but it's in New York now, so it's cool just to be a part of it.
It's not just in New York, you're a part of it. Exactly. Yeah, you get the best seat in the house. You're on stage. That's amazing. Wait, singing all those different shows and learning to sing that way, did you ever sing any bands or anything like that? Or is it always an aspiration to be on stage?
I never did bands.
Yeah.
I did. I went to a high school for the performing arts, so it was mandatory to be in choir, which was really great in terms of learning harmonies and things like that. But I never did bands. I did musicals. I took like a 4-year hiatus from performing actually when I graduated from high school, and I did some other things, and then I got back into it, and I'm really happy I did because I am actually living my childhood dream right now. And I always think about 14-year-old Trevor when I do this show and rock out for him, so it's sick.
It's pretty amazing. If we had more time, we'd go into that other things that you glossed over there in the 4 years. But we'll stick to the show.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
What about you? Tell me about your connection to this show. Kind of how you came to be a part of it as well. What was your experience like becoming a part of We Will Rock You?
Yeah, mine's actually completely opposite to Trev. I actually was unfamiliar with the musical.
Okay.
A friend sent me the casting notice, and I was like, oh. What is this? Because they were casting in Canada, and we're Canadian. So yeah, I looked into it. I also downloaded the soundtrack. I listened to it, learned every word, and was like, okay, I really want this. I literally used to listen to it at the gym. I was like, under pressure, like on the treadmill. I was like, I'm gonna get this, and then somehow I did.
So that's why. So, but in general, growing up, because this, Queen, it's iconic. We said in the beginning, and it's true. The music's been around for decades now at this point, and every couple of years, very famously in the '90s, Wayne's World brought it back into the center of pop culture, and now, with the new film Bohemian Rhapsody, everybody's listening to Queen again. Growing up, was Queen around you in your house, in your life, stuff like that? Were you exposed to the music growing up at all? So you at least knew some of the songs.
Oh yeah, totally. I was familiar with Queen.
Exactly.
Grew up listening to Queen. My dad would always play it in the car, so I definitely was a Queen fan already, but had no idea that a musical surrounded by the greatest hits even existed.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. So just like I watched it and learning it, I was like, wow, this is quite good. Yeah.
It is really funny. That's the thing, right? And other thing too is launched in 2002. This is kind of right now. Everybody kind of has a musical. Everybody's musical catalog has a show, but they were one of the first. This was one of the first shows, and it has Brian May's blessing. It has the band's blessing. They're involved in it. Talk to me about that. Working on this music that has the blessing of the original creators. What has that been like? And does that add an extra sense of pressure? Oh, we've got to deliver. Brian's watching this. Like he's gonna see this.
Yeah, well, the music supervisor, Stuart Morley, for the show, for We Will Rock You, from the UK, came over for our first week of rehearsals and totally taught us every ounce of the music. Every single harmony line was individually taught and looked at and explained, and it was all revamped for this tour. And the UK, they have a tour going on right now, too, and Stuart went over there the week after he was with us and went and helped them. So it was really unique to have that experience, and we also had recordings of Freddie himself, in the studio, singing I think it was A Kind of Magic. There was this 4-part harmony thing that he was doing himself, and we implemented that into our show, for example. So all of the music is totally revamped. It is a great deal of pressure, but it's also an honor, and we love music. Our entire cast was approved by Queen specifically, too, and they wanted specifically singers for this show. That's what they wanted. So all 16 of us in the cast are huge music fans, so being able to work with a person that is directly connected to Queen,
mind-blowing. It was so wild.
I don't think it hasn't hit me yet, for sure. Yeah.
Brian popped. Have you guys had an opportunity to meet Brian May at all, or any of the guys?
Brian May sent us a video message on our opening night, and he said,
we'll take it.
I look forward to seeing you guys soon. So we'll see.
There we go.
Who knows where?
One of the things I read about Stuart is that he came through and he did revamp it. He re-queened it, as he had said, and made it more rock-focused, more true to the original material. As people that listened to the soundtrack and were obsessed with the original stuff, what's it been like doing sort of this newer version, this revamped version? Is that jarring at first? Was it kind of like having to relearn it all together?
Yes. We did have to, or at least for me, we had to relearn quite a bit because we even listened to the soundtrack and things were definitely written different, and Queen performed them differently. So we had to very meticulously learn those bits.
Yeah, they really wanted it to be stripped back to Queen for this one, and because I do base the foundation of my music knowledge off of this soundtrack, and it did teach me how to sing. I blame Tony Vincent for all of the habits, great habits for him. He sounds wonderful, but Stuart was like, you're not being Tony. You're gonna be We Will Rock You and play the written track. So it was pretty hard, but it was nice though too. I had done the role back in Niagara Falls in March, and that's how I got scouted for this production. And I played it totally differently there and sang it differently. So it was nice. It was a good challenge, and I focus on every single song just as much. It is a huge pressure, and every night I'm learning more and building stamina, and I have Queen in my mind the entire time. It's really great.
One of the things that I always imagine would be difficult when you do a show like this with a catalog of music such as theirs is that everyone coming into that theater, whether they know the show or not, they have a very specific way they expect to, or they have heard these songs before. So there's a way in which that they're comfortable hearing the music, and you're kind of giving it to them in a similar but new and different way. What's the audience response been like? You guys have been playing all over the place on this tour. How are the crowds responding?
Out of control. in the theater world, I've never experienced anything like it. Like, they applaud, they give you a standing O, they like give you a little nod. But here, like it's like a concert at the end of the show combined with a musical, and they all stand up, they all sing, or they have their cell phones waving, and it's just for me amazing. But I imagine for Trevor it's even tenfold. Like you're there in the center. He's creating the music that they're singing along to. So
we all are. It's really epic, and we get to perform in a lot of stadiums too around the country. So I think when you have that atmosphere, when you're not in a soft seat theater, people feel encouraged to take their phones out. And there has been times that the entire audience has their phones out for the last 10 minutes of the show, and it brings chills 100%. But in terms of the music, I think that the audience, a lot of people in our audience who don't know what the show is, they think that they're going to like a Queen tribute concert.
In the first 4 minutes, they're like, "What
is happening? Why are they speaking?" But after our opening number, we do Radio Gaga at the beginning, and some of the lyrics have been changed, and they are basically relative to what the show's about. So instead of saying Radio Gaga, they say Internet Caca or whatever, and they know that it's about the cyberspace, and it kind of brings you into a story. And I think after the end of that number, we build the trust with the audience, and they know that they're going on a different journey. And by the end of the show, when we give them what they want and they give that concert, it's the best of both worlds. And Ben Elton wrote a hilarious script that's also been updated for the show. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think musical theater goers are going to love it just as much as rock goers. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
there's a reason it's played literally all over the world since
literally
since it's like inception in 2002. What you touched on something that was really interesting to me, especially when you guys are a part of a tour. You're here for 6 shows, 4 nights. I think by this time next week you're in Indianapolis. You were just in Massachusetts a couple of days. You're all over the place. You're in all these different venues constantly. How much time do you have to sort of reacclimate yourself to the stage and to the venue itself? Do you have any time at all, or is it just get out there and do it?
An hour.
We don't even really do much rehearsing on the stage we have. Like it just isn't time. We have to load in the full set. If we're there for only one day, which most times we are. Some are for one day.
The first week of the show was when we started on tour. We had opened in Winnipeg in Canada for 8 shows there in this beautiful Centennial Concert Hall. It was stunning. It was great to open on Canadian soil because we're both Canadian. But once we got out of Canada, we performed. Our next show was in an amphitheater outdoors.
It was so windy.
And it was
windy.
You
don't even know.
And then the next show is, and then we have a soft seat theater, then we have a stadium. So we did the show on different stages, a whole bunch of different ways. So now we have a whole bunch of different versions of the show. So by the time that we get in to the theater for our sound check, they're like, okay, we're doing version C today. So, we have this, we don't have this. This is what the masking looks like. This is what the stage looks like. Sometimes we lose a whole Marley on the stage, but the story is still there. We don't lose anything of the story. The music is still there. And we just have different versions because we're trying to be bringing this story across America and across Canada. So
forgive my ignorance, and for anyone else already, lose a whole Marley. What is that unit of measurement? What is...
So Marley is like the black stuff that's on the floor, usually for dancers, and we roll it out. So sometimes if there's not a big
bike marks around there,
stage, we have to strip that back. Yeah.
What do you do when the space in which you're accustomed to performing is suddenly not there?
Well, the first week it was like, what do we do? But our dance captain was great, and we worked through it. But now we're used to the different versions of the show, and I mean, it's all still there, but it's kind of exciting. I love it when we have after we've done the same show for 10 days, and they're like, you're going to do it this way. I think it's pretty exciting and exhilarating. It keeps it different so that you're not overthinking the music. You're like, oh yeah, I have to enter from this wing instead because we only have 1 wing today instead of 2 or whatever it is, Or
no wings, who knows?
Exactly. But it's amazing. I love it. I think it's hilarious. And our band is on stage too, which is a huge... exciting part of our show. So they're built on a platform that's above, and there's a cage that's in front of them because in our show it takes place in this world where music and free thought and all of that's prohibited. And there's a cage that's there, and they're hidden behind the cage. And then at the end of the show, spoiler, they're revealed and they're there. But I think that at the end of the day, that is the heart of the show. And as long as the band is there and that they're playing, this show is, they really are the soul.
Music is the show.
It is. So as long as that's there, I think that that's like the key part. But performing in different theaters across the country, it's been great. We've been in the theaters in Denver where Frozen was workshopped. And and then we were also in amphitheaters, and we're in like the oldest theater in San Antonio. There was just so many cool elements. Yeah.
Do you try, because like you said, some places you're there for one night. Sometimes, like in the case of New York, you're here for 4 days. Do you try to find a minute when you're not doing stuff like this to actually see the city and go around and take advantage of the fact that you're traveling?
Trevor does, for sure. Yeah. He's like way more fun. I honestly use my days off to just, rest, maybe do a face mask. I'd love to explore, don't get me wrong. But I do really like to relax, and I need that time off. But you've seen a lot, so tell them about it.
What's your trick? How do you condense a city into a couple of hours? What do you look for? What do you do?
I usually look for a smoothie place. Nice. I love smoothies. I always actually look the night before. Expedia has a really good YouTube channel that all the major cities in the state, in the world, have a YouTube of like 5 minutes of what you should do in that city. And then you're like, I want to see that park, and you look at it. But if you do only have 3 or 4 hours, grab some food, grab a coffee or smoothie, and go and walk around. I listen to podcasts all the time, especially I'm a huge fan of film. So now that it's the film award season starting, I'm listening to all of my movie podcasts and walking around the city. So it's great, but it is kind of your only you time too. You live on a tour bus or in hotels with your cast. You're working with them too, and they're a great group of people, but sometimes you just need to not only reacclimatize with the city, but also with yourself. So yeah.
For
great.
sure. And that brings up to another interesting thing that I wanted to ask about is when you're on such an intense schedule and you're performing so much and you're traveling so much, what kind of self-care, what kind of maintenance are you doing? How are you this energetic? How do you keep the energy up? How do you keep morale up? How do you keep everything going? Like, what is the secret other than caffeine?
Well, I use crystals, and I gave them to Trevor this morning, and he looks great. So I think they work.
That's all the things I need.
No, like physical activity, warming up, steaming, hydration. We drink a lot of water. Just resting when we can.
I think it's important. I think it's even like if you live somewhere else in the world in general. I went on a student exchange when I was in university or whatever, and I remember it was really important once a week to do something that reminded you of home and the comforts of home. I find movie theaters are the same everywhere you go. So I try to go to a movie at least once a week just to ground myself, and you can imagine that you're anywhere and you can do that at home too. So it is a kind of nice way to get back and stay grounded.
Do you guys ever find a moment you're like, where's Trevor? Like, oh, he's having his movie hour.
Oh, literally. Every time we go to soundcheck, I'm like, so what movie did you see? He's like, I saw 2.
What's the most recent movie you saw? What'd you see?
I'll talk about Parasite. It was amazing.
Oh,
yeah. Parasite was phenomenal. Yeah. So, yeah.
Why'd you phrase it that way? I'll talk about
Well, I've seen some other movies since Parasite, but I'll give good press to Parasite. Parasite was amazing. You should check it out.
Very diplomatic. We're going to go over to the audience in just a second. Something I'm always fascinated by, you see all these different audiences across the world. Is there, with a show like this where the energy is just on 11 the whole time, but is there a different vibe? Can you tell, oh, that's a New York crowd, that's an LA crowd, that's like a Boise crowd? Can you tell? No shade to Boise. I'm just saying it's a different crowd, I'm sure.
Boise was wicked.
Yeah, Boise was lit, okay? You got some
all talk about
competition.
Boise.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can tell that where you, there's a different vibe to each city in terms of the audience as well, right?
Yeah, I usually find out from Trevor's Break Free. Right after he sings, I can hear what type of crowd it is. Well, I mean, they always go wild for Trevor, but I can feel their energy, which is, cool. Literally, I just listen for that. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, we got a wild one. Oh, this, yeah.
Is that the same for you, or is there another moment within the show where you can sense, okay, from this moment on, I know we're going to be okay?
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually, she sings Somebody to Love right after, and I kind of listen to hers as well. But we're so cute.
We're like the cutest.
I'd say actually at the end of the show is probably when I'm most focused on the audience. I don't really get affected too much by the audience in shows, but in this one, because you're kind of forced at the end to be giving a lot to them, and the music lends itself to becoming a concert, and the audience gets really involved. So it's not honestly until I get over to Bohemian Rhapsody, which is the encore of the show, that I'm like, oh, this audience was lit.
Spoiler, sorry.
Yeah, but if they're singing along, like last night at the Hulu Theater at MSG, they were singing so loud. I could barely hear myself, but it was wicked. It was so cool. And that's exactly what you want, and yeah, it's amazing. As long as they're singing on pitch, it's great.
I was gonna say, which city's the most off pitch? No, we don't need to go that. We don't need to do that. But you guys are the Hulu Theater through Sunday. You got 5 more shows in front of you, and then you move on to the next show, the next city from there. You can head over if you're watching someplace and you're not in New York. Go to queenonline.com/WWRY. You'll see the entire listing of dates. You can make sure you catch a show, which you absolutely have to do. It's so much fun. We got a couple of questions in the room before we get out of here, so let's go ahead. We got at least 2. Got microphones. First one, go for it.
Hi. I was just wondering what you hope people take away from the show.
What we take away from the show? For me, I hope they take away that being your own individual is totally okay. You know, you don't have to be like everyone else. And especially with my character, Scaramouche, you know, she's different. But that is okay. And you don't need to try and be someone you're not.
Yeah, that's a really good message. And then just in terms of a more universal way, too, I think it's great that theater these days is using people's, it seems to be the trend that they're using content that's already been created to create musical theater. And I think that this show is able to lend to people who might just like rock music or just might like a band and bring them into the musical theater world and show that musical theater might not necessarily just be a big costume drama with a whole bunch of singing and dance numbers. We have that, but we also have an awesome story and awesome music. So yeah, a good jukebox musicals, they're out there.
They exist.
We've got time. Let's do one more question. Microphone, go.
Hi. I was wondering if you could describe the show in one word. What would it be and why?
Ooh.
Don't steal mine from
I know. I
yesterday.
literally was so close to stealing his, but I won't. I would say exhilarating. And why? Oh, that's so tricky. Why is it exhilarating?
Because you get to kiss me.
Yeah. There we go.
That's awful.
Good one.
What's the one word you wouldn't let her have?
A letdown, because I had to kiss. That's 2 words. So
We're on TV, Trevor. God.
I said multifaceted yesterday. A lot of elements. So yeah, no, I'm a dick, eh?
Yeah, now we're ending on that note. Everyone's like not liking you, so.
Yeah, we're going to end on that.
Great kisser.
It was very, very awesome to have you 2 here. I know you have a crazy schedule, and it always means a lot when people carve out time, come hang out, tell us about the thing they're doing. So thank you. It was very nice. And I got to tell you, I met you backstage. I mean, you know, we get to meet a lot of people. We do this thing. But you both were very, very nice. And we got on stage. You said, we're from Canada. I went, of course. There we go. It adds up.
We like the stereotype.
Yeah, no, it's the nicest stereotype, and you lived up to it. You're wonderful people. It's a fantastic show. Super excited to talk to you guys. You guys are a great audience. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'll remind the world, as we're saying goodbye, head over to queenonline.com/WWRY. Find some tickets and go see the show. You will not regret it. It is so much fun. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Trevor Coll and Keri Kelly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.